Okay, after potting up your two pots like there, you're then going to have to deal with the lids after it. But first of all, you might want to get your trays ready. They come in a variety of colours, they're different sizes, depth. The rule is, if they're deeper than the actual foam brick, you're going to have to put a hole or a few holes in there. Maybe a slot is better sometimes, especially if heavy rain, slots are better. As the rain increases, the slot still copes with the added increase of water levels, I think. And you want to put it down about, oh, I don't know, half an inch below the actual level of the brick, or the water level on the brick. So you burn your hole in there. We'll show you how to do that shortly. But here's one I cleaned out earlier. So you just want to clean out, nothing too flash of course. Just get rid of all the grime you've had before. And then you can set it down. And you can get yourself some, put these away to one side. And you want them so they're stackable, of course. So you can make them quite nice and neat in the thing. And you get some foam bricks which are over here. Again, nothing too flash. You know, I've had bricks for years and things, and they still look pretty good. As long as you keep them wet. Once they dry out, you'll have trouble wetting them again. They'll take a few days to wet. Now, I always find that you can put a whole band of these things in if you want. I'll get some more. They're quite, you know, you can put them in, they're quite stackable. As long as you leave a nice edge there or something like that. They can go in on the side. You can play around with them up like that, chop them off, put them, double stack them if you need to. See, if you double stack them, you get a much deeper pool of water. In other words, the water below the bricks will stay cooler and go up if you want really cool pots. And it's slightly over the head height of the box. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll put one of these not so flush ones on the bottom, and we'll put one on the top, and maybe we'll do this twice sort of thing, so that and do something like that. Or if you want to make sure that you've got humidity going around or something like that, put them in the centre. It doesn't really matter, it's up to you. They're quite versatile, they last for years, it's a good investment. You can get them as low as, I've bought them as low as $1.50 back in the 90s. They can be, if you get them in a florist shop, they can go up to almost being $4, you know, so quite a price range, but they do last and basically hardly ever throw them out. They seem quite delicate, but as you can see, they'll support. I can even stand, you can actually stand on these. If you get a light bit of board or something, you can put a light bit of board over it and spread the load, and yeah. So basically that's what we're going to end up doing. Two pots like that, enough room for others, and then of course you fill this up and they become quite damp, and the moisture goes up through the bottom of the pot. And yeah, so that's basically what we're going to do. I might even just do that now. I'll get my watering can. You know, like I said, you can run over the top, you know, through there, down there, it doesn't really matter. As I said, that's what's so good. There's really good pulling away, so there's always tension in the water, which is good against the microbes, you know, because microbes, there's a few things that microbes don't like. You know, like when you wash them in hot soapy water is one thing, but when you're drying something off with a cloth, like a knife or something, and you're running the knife through the cloth, the amount of heat that's generated down on their microbial scale from the friction is enough to heat up really hot. So you basically, when you rub something through with a dishcloth very quickly, on the microbial scale, it gets really hot. So that's one thing they don't like. Tension is another thing. Yeah, pressures they're not too bad with, but tension, like quick changes in tension, that's one thing they have trouble coping with. They can handle, you know, hundreds of pounds a square inch of pressure going that way, but when it comes to tension, that's a different story, because that doesn't normally occur in real life. get my drift, you know. You don't usually have a vacuum on Earth. You have to really go out into outer space to get a vacuum, or something akin or close to a vacuum sort of thing, you know. Can you think of where does a vacuum naturally occur on Earth? Yeah, naturally, you know. Or maybe you've got a cave or something, and slowly over time the oxygen is used up. But does it actually become a strong negative vacuum? Is what I'm basically trying to say. So other than outer space, I don't think there's too many places I can actually think of that you can find in the general environment that's at a great negative pressure, basically. Now you can see already it's going up through the sand, and it's probably an appropriate sign to say sign off on this clip before it gets too long. Maybe one more go of water. Now if you got old bricks and they one thing, they won't start to float away, but sometimes you've got to watch that, especially with new ones. If they're not old bricks that have been fully saturated or have been fully saturated fairly recently, you've got to watch out for things like that. But this is one way of not having to burn a hole in the side of your thing. If you get trays at just the right height so your foam just goes above the height, or you can put something underneath, like a couple of tiles at the bottom. You know, get a few tiles, whack them at the bottom. As long as they're impervious tiles, then you can raise these up by, you know, 1 centimetre or 2 centimetres with each tile, just enough to get it over the rim, so when it really rains down really heavily, your pots are protected and it still stays at the same moisture level, and you don't have to go out there in the middle of the night sort of thing, trying to rescue a few pygmies that are floating around in a puddle in the top there sort of thing. It's all like self-regulated. That's really what you want to do. But anyway, I suppose we get on to the next stage, which is probably melting some holes in the top of the lids. Yes. Okay. Sorry about that, maybe I should have done it there. And they're not too heavy. You can actually, I don't know, lift them up sort of thing. Like that. Okay. That's enough fun and games for today, I think. Before I pop a disc. Okay. Over and out.